Welcome to the home of the DIY movement, where we build stuff and paint things.
Alright y'all, it's way back Wednesday. Where we last left off, we picked up the 63 and we were going to begin the bodywork process. So let's get into that whole adventure. So like I said, the 62 before this was my first paint job, and I guess you can call it a frame off because I did take it off the frame. But I wouldn't call that car the first restoration. I would say the 63 was more of my first restoration because I took it down a lot further than we did the 62. You know, looking at this picture of the firewall, looking at this picture right here of the dash, we completely gutted it. And if you remember on the 62, the Rooster, we didn't touch the dash. All we did was run the buffer across it. You know, after we painted it, we didn't touch the firewall. So I feel like this car, we got in a little bit deeper in the restoration work, and we also made, you know, some costly mistakes in that process, and definitely some learning curves, learning experiences. So the first thing after we gutted the firewall was to put these pre-cut plates that I bought. I bought them local. Actually, I think I got them from Last Minute. They used to sell them, you know, pre-cut, whatever. So we're going to shave the firewall. I believe around this time, Bobby was starting to come over more frequently. I don't think he was welding yet. Could be wrong. If I remember right, these things were just tacked in, and then I spread seam sealer basically around the whole thing. The look that I was going for was kind of trying to mimic a factory firewall, because you know the firewalls on these cars are really sloppy from the factory. They have all these dimples and seams and stuff, and seam sealer that's just squirt on in different areas, and really no type of cleanup. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I kind of wanted to mimic that look. So that's what we did. We tacked them on, and then we spread some seam sealer stuff and called it good. I remember whenever later on down the road, when it came time to wire this car, I was really intimidated by the American Auto Wire Classic Update kit. So I went with the original kit, which was kind of like a plug and play type deal, because the thought of crimping the terminals was very intimidating to me at the time. And I kind of just wanted something plug and play. So that's what I opted for when the wiring came, you know, when it came time to wire the car. You know, looking at this picture right here, the car looks pretty solid. I do remember, I think we replaced the passenger front floor pan only. Just basically cut it out and put a new piece in. We didn't have to mess with any of the braces or anything. I think that's the only thing we had to replace. Other than that, the car was a really good car for the $4,900 that I bought it for, especially with the rebuilt drivetrain. At the time of this car, I wasn't hip to the SPI stuff that I use now, the epoxy stuff. So I want to say we took the roof down to bare metal because it had an ugly rust stain on it. See if I could find a picture here. It had some real stubborn surface rust you can see right there. I don't remember. I believe this thing was like in a 2K primer and sat outside, so started rusting. And like I say, at the time, I didn't really know what epoxy was or what it was used for, and that's one of the costly mistakes that I made whenever we painted this car. We'll get into that. So the first thing was, you know, to gut the car. So we gutted all the stainless, we gutted all the glass, you know, all the window gutters. We're taking all the butyl or dum-dum or whatever you want to call it, that putty stuff that never really dries. scraping it all out, getting all the gutters clean, pretty much what you guys see us do on the channel routinely now. This was kind of the first time I had to do that. So it was a pretty messy job. Now it's, normal. But here's a picture of the roof. We stripped it down. I remember we wire wheeled the surface rust. We didn't quite get it all. And my buddy had some leftover shop line epoxy. And I remember him telling me that, we were going to epoxy it that afternoon. He's like, man, once this thing is one color, the roof, it's gonna look like a much nicer car just by doing this step. And he was right. So here it is in the shop line. It might have been Deltron or DP something. I want to say it was shop line though. Epoxy primer that we sprayed with a super cheap gun. I think it was like a Graco gun or something that we ended up painting the car with. You can see some tiger stripes on it, but once it was coated, it did look better. It's like, man, wow. I want to say that's the only place on the car we used epoxy, because we only had a little bit left. Didn't buy any. I will say when we painted this car, we used Deltron base coat and Shopline clear, I think. And I remember that Deltron base coat turned into a very costly learning curve. What I really liked about this car was the way the trunk fit and the way the doors fit, and it was all original to the car. And I remember having a conversation with the guy when it came time to paint, about removing the trunk or the doors for the paint job, and he recommended not doing that because it's a job to get them to line up how they were, which it is. He said we can get just as good a job, or good enough job with the stuff on. So I want to say leaving the stuff on. This picture right here is that section that we replaced that was included with the car, and all it was just the center tail section there where the weather strip the trunk gutter weather strip goes. So that repair was actually pretty straightforward. It's not really a structural repair, so I felt pretty confident. I want to say I welded that up. Like I said, Bobby was coming around, but I don't think he was quite welding yet. Hood was in good shape. Just a couple little high spots there you can see. Like I say, this was only my second paint job, so I was still very much new to the whole blocking idea. These doors, looking at these doors right here, what you see in this picture, this should have been stripped down to the bare metal. I see some guys sometimes primer over this with 2K high build. And I learned the hard way that if you have an area of bare metal that's like bigger than your palm of your hand, and even that's too big, that needs to be coated with either epoxy or etch primer, not a 2K, because that's going to come back to bite you in the butt, and it did on this car. So in hindsight, like I say, knowing what I know now and knowing and doing what we do now, this door would have came off. This door would have got the fiber strip discs, and it would have got coated in epoxy, and then worked up from there. Instead, I want to say we blocked it, or possibly D8'd it first, then blocked it on the car, which is more work. Weird angles, having to get down low and use the block. It's harder on your body than doing it on the stand first. But it came out nice. So like I say, big learning curve. Yeah. Driver door, same thing, man. This is entirely too much bare metal to not be in epoxy or etch primer. I mean, really looking at this is like 5 more minutes of the strip disc and we would have been in bare metal. But like I say, I hadn't been introduced to the SPI stuff. I hadn't been introduced to the forum yet, to where I learned so much. So we rolled with it, you know. We were building a car. We were having fun doing it, and we were looking forward to getting it in color. So that's what we did, right? We blocked it, we primered it a few times, blocked it, you know, and then painted it. You know, roof pretty much the same. I believe we sprayed 2K primer over that Shopline epoxy, because that Shopline stuff isn't sandable. And then we, you know, put filler. I think we were using putty coat at the time, which is just, you know, generic filler stuff. But again, way too much bare metal for 2K high build. This area could have been spotted in. But hey, you know, like I say, learning experience, second paint job, and we're doing it. So overall, the card really didn't need a whole lot. I think we had this thing ready for paint in like maybe like 4 weekends from the time that I bought it, or something, you know, somewhere around there. 4 sessions of sanding and priming, and it was ready for paint. Underside of the hood's looking real good, man. I wish I could find one right now. I'm in the market for a hood for my 63 that I have now. I wish I could find one in this shape within like an 8-hour drive, because I'd go buy it. But this was pretty much just a quick hand sand and wash and 2K primer, and then hand sand again and paint. You know, that was pretty much it, which it turned out fine. The underside turned out really nice. You know, here's the fenders, you know, after a round or two of blocking, and there really wasn't a whole lot of breakthrough. So I think, you know, the fenders looked good, and it was really a disappointment when things went south with this paint job, starting with the passenger fender right here. So I don't have any pictures of that process, but I can describe it. So what I did, I ended up having to buy a passenger fender. I forgot why. I forgot the reason why. I think because the one that came with the car needed a big patch on the bottom or something, and I was able to find one locally cheap that didn't need a patch. So, but it was covered in surface rust. So I remember that I wire wheeled the fender to get all that surface rust off, and there was some stubborn stuff that wouldn't come off. So I used a product called Gem, I think, which is basically phosphoric acid. It was green, and what happened was I misused the product. Okay, and this is why I emphasize so much on my videos when I'm using the product that it's very important to rinse it off, to get it off. So what I did basically was I wire wheeled the fender to bare metal. There were some stubborn areas, so I sprayed that stuff on. I let it dry, and then I never washed it, okay? And I let it dry, and then I sprayed 2K primer over it, and, you know, did my filler work or whatever, and more 2K primer, and that really came back to bite me in the butt about probably 6 months after we painted it. And I'm going to get into that in the future videos, but that was a big misuse of the product, because the product should be neutralized and then rinsed off and clean bare metal, you know, epoxy or etch primer, and then go from there. And basically it was a recipe for a disaster what happened on that fender, and things just kind of went south after that. But looked good while it was fresh. Here's a couple shots of the roof, wet sanded down, pretty much ready for paint. You know, that looked good. That's looking ready right there. So like I say, it didn't take very long to get this thing painted, and you know, I kind of learned that painting the car is the thing about painting a car is it's, if you take it somewhere, it can take a really long time and you can get screwed around. If you do it yourself, it's one of the it's the cheapest part of the build. And because once it's painted, then you have to start buying everything new, you know, or replacing things to put back on a brand new paint job. So it's kind of backwards if you do your own paint job, in my mind, because you're saving a bunch of money by doing it, you know, and then it's done, and then now you have to spend money for new glass or new trim and all that, versus when somebody takes a car to paint and they pick it up from the shop, they see it as, you know, like, you know, 80% done, you know, 90%. All you gotta do is put the glass back in, and, you know, this and that. But really, the paint being painted is like 30% done. You know, here's the trunk. Like I said, we painted with the trunk on, trunk wet sanded. You know, it looks really good in pictures. This was a steering column. I want to say we kind of painted all the little loose stuff first. Painted the steering column, cowl. I think we did the skirts separate. So kind of just to get a feel for the color and the way this thing is going to spray out. But that was an I Did It column. It was the first time for doing the I Did It. I hung it from the lift arms, and you know, looking at that right there, it should have been hung the other way, because the part that you're actually going to see is harder to spray when it's down low like that. If it had been flipped over, you know, at, you know, eye level, then you can really paint the part that you're actually going to see. So, you know, going back through these pictures, man, it's kind of taking me back, just looking at things through a different lens, and the way we do things now versus how we were doing them, you know. This was like 14 years ago, 13 years ago. Yeah, here's a shot down the driver's side, man, and like I said, that was one of the reasons why we decided to leave the door on, because it lined up really nice. The gaps are, you know, factory gaps. So this was wet sanded, and I guess essentially at some point ready for paint, and we end up spraying it. We sprayed it. We're going to get into the next video, but I'll go ahead and explain what we did. We sprayed it with, we didn't seal it. We sprayed it with a Deltron DBC Laurel Green, and then we sprayed it with Shopline Clear Coat, which, you know, it's cheap. Well, I take that back. It's not financially cheap. Its product is cheap. Wouldn't recommend using it. But here's a teaser pic of once it was painted, and we actually had to do quite a bit of touch-up work. Let's just say that we end up painting this thing probably almost 3 times, but we're going to get into that in the next Way Back Wednesday. We're coming up on 20 minutes here. So the next one, we're going to go over the spraying process. You have to stay tuned for that one, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this Way Back Wednesday, and we'll catch you next week.